The Dodd-Frank law was a set of rules designed to prevent the mortgage meltdown and subsequent financial crisis of 2008, which triggered the collapse of the investment bank Lehman Brothers, saw massive bailouts of financial institutions, and a global economic downturn. Critics see legislation as punishing the regional and community banks. Paul Ryan, Speaker of the US House of Representatives, lauded the bipartisan agreement.
The House just voted to free our economy from overregulation. Mainstream banks are engines of growth, and it will now be easier for these banks to lend to small businesses and families.
This new bill rolls back the Dodd-Frank law in 3 key areas: mortgage lending rules, financial stability regulation, and bank capital requirements. Only big banks are deemed a threat if they fail. The bill's most significant provision raises the asset threshold from which banks automatically face stress tests, capital liquidity requirements, and other rules to $250 billion from $50 billion. This cuts the regulation for smaller institutions. This leaves 13 banks where the Dodd-Frank protections will still apply. Though the US has over 5,000 banks, these 13 account for over half of the sector by assets and deposits. Those who oppose the bill point out that 25 of the largest banks, no longer subject to the same legislation, collectively hold around 1/6 of the assets of the entire US banking sector. These banks took $47 billion in bailout funds during the 2007-2008 financial crisis. The Federal Reserve has retained the authority to apply tougher standards for banks with over $100 billion in assets where it sees fit.